Hello! In this video I'm going to show you how we use PowerShell AI to connect with Hugging Face spaces. Check out this example, directly from the command line, where we connect two spaces. I'll explain each part of this code. First, let's get to know the spaces we're using here. Starting with the Space Diffusers Labs. This space uses Hugging Face's Diffusers library. It's quite simple. From a prompt, it will generate an image showing each step of the process. In other words, we can see the intermediate images that were generated. Now, I'll show you another simpler space, the ASCII art generator. It takes an image and converts it into text. I can adjust the density parameter, which controls the size. Now, let's see in PowerShell how we can access each space separately using PowerShell AI. First, you need to import the module into the session. Now, we can use this command to create a connection with the API. We can specify a list of spaces. Just copy their names and separate them with commas. At this point, PowerShell AI will establish a connection with the Gradio API of these spaces. The variable spaces we created will contain an array of objects representing the connection with each space. Then, we can use this variable with other PowerShell AI commands. For example, let's create functions that simplify the use of the API. This command creates functions in my PowerShell session that mimic the same parameters of the API. This makes it easy to invoke directly from PowerShell. Notice that two functions were created, one for each endpoint of each space. Since these spaces have one endpoint each, only two functions were created. The source column shows which space the function will connect to. Let's test each of them to see how they work. First, let's use the function from the image generating space. As I mentioned, it simplifies the process. The function has the same parameter as the interface. Just type the prompt. Let's use the same example, a car. The function will invoke the space's AP, and just like in the interface, it will return the results. The result is an object containing the data property. Data is an array with the returned results. In the case of the image generating space, each result is an image of a stage in the diffusion process. In this case, data is a file data object, representing a file path. Let's check the URL of the last result, which should be the final image. Now, let's look at the URL of the first image, which should be a very blurry one. Now, let's see the function for the ASCII art space. Let's use a local image of Messi from my PC. I'll copy the function name from the previous result. The parameter that receives the image is input image. By the way, I'll connect the output of this command to another PowerShell command. The percentage symbol is the for each command, meaning it executes for each object. In our case, I'll just retrieve the first piece of data returned by the ASCII art space. It's the image in text form. Oh, and I'll set the density to generate a smaller image. And look at that. Pretty cool. We have the result right here. Now, let's connect everything. To simplify the command line, I'll create aliases for our functions. Image for the diffusers space and ASCII for the ASCII art space. We can connect these functions using the pipeline. The pipeline in PowerShell is like any other. Each command's output is sent to the next one. The Hugging Face provider in PowerShell AI makes it easy to connect these two spaces. First, we use the command that generates the image. Each image it generates will be sent to the ASCII command. Then, we specify where ASCII should find the input image. That's why we use the map parameter, and the number is the index of the data array property from the object being passed through the pipeline. We can specify the other parameters normally, like density. Finally, we connect the result to for each, just to display the output. Notice that the image starts to take shape. By the end, if you squint a little, you'll see something that resembles a car. We can visualize this process better. PowerShell AI provides a simple command to have fun with the console. This command writes text in a fixed position on the screen, giving the impression of an update. We'll create an alias for this command and use it to better observe the process. Basically, what we're doing again is writing in a 60-character wide by 30-character high frame. And, at the end, the image, URL. The effect is pretty cool. It's like stable diffusion running directly in the terminal. Now that we've seen the diffusion process, let's check out other prompt examples. How about a smiling woman? Or a skull? The possibilities are endless with PowerShell AI. This was just a demonstration of how you can easily invoke Hugging Face spaces APIS directly from the terminal. This opens up many possibilities. It all depends on your creativity. PowerShell AI is an open-source project that is available in this GitHub repository.